Hello and welcome. And today's company is interesting because as I studied it more and more, the more impressed I got that an Indian company is doing the kind of product suite and is doing the kind of R&D that a Paras Defense is doing. Of course, the stock has been fairly volatile. But we've seen a 44% jump over the last 12 months, and a bulk of that has come since late May maybe or early June maybe. So you've seen a very, very decent spike on the stock price. Of course, a bit of a cool off from that point. But more importantly, let's try and analyze this company and look at this from a more larger perspective. Difficult to ascribe what the underlying valuation for some of these companies and products is, but that's what makes it even more interesting, right, in terms of understanding the story better. Market cap of around 9,500 crore now, incorporated in 2009. It's a standalone company, no conglomerate relationship, dates back to the 1970s in terms of the start or the initial phase of the company. It's an Indian space and defense tech manufacturer. When it got listed a couple of years back, a resounding amounts of interest in this one, and now we know that we'll try to understand as to why. What's the story? Well, typically your fighter pilot needs thermal cameras at night, right? So the camera needs infrared lenses on ground and very, very high level of accuracy. Even a satellite will likely require the same kind of composition. A submarine will also require the same kind of composition in terms of vision and lens. And a battle tank also requires a fire control system to kind of aim in the dark and ensure that you're hitting the right target. All of this is done by the optics department of Paras Defense, and that's really the start of the story. And now optics is a very small component of the overall top line, less than 15%. So Paras has grown across the board as a result, but this is where the story really started. Let's understand the business segments individually. You start off with the optics segment, right? For optics, essentially, where is it used? Defense and space optics. I described some of the products there. Then there's infrared lenses, thermal imaging, night vision for defense platforms, etc. There's large space mirrors for satellites and the like to ensure visibility. You've got metal mirrors as well, which is high stability reflective optics for space. There's optical domes, protective domes for missile seekers. There's gyro blocks, which is precision assemblies for inertial navigation. And you've got diffractive gratings. A lot of this is technical, but essentially these are products which are used either in the space segment or in the defense segment. Those are the two key segments which Paras operates out of. And a lot of the products are explained very, very well even in their presentation. So you'll get a sense of what they do. But I'll try and cover as much as I can. Optronic systems is submarine optronic periscopes. This is a complete periscope system, for example, designed for the Indian Navy. Hyperspectral imaging systems, which are cameras capturing dozens of spectral bands. You've got border surveillance systems. These are integrated electro-optic border monitoring, not requiring a person to stand there at the border and being able to monitor the border lines. And this is also not completely implemented yet. So some of these are actually levers for growth for the future. But this is something which Paras is actively working on. There's infrared systems. There's remote-controlled weaponized stations, which is a remote weapon aiming and firing platform, which also Paras has created. There's defense engineering. In that, there's electronics. Defense electronics is rugged computers, consoles, control systems, embedded software, and the like. So they're not just in the physical hardware, they're also getting into software, which is that much more difficult to replace with another software. There's military-grade control systems, electronic control weapons and platform functions. There's multifunctional consoles, which is operator workstations for command and control. There's rugged displays and computers, hardened screens and processors, which also Paras manufactures. Data, video, image processing systems. There's anti-jamming systems. There is avionics, which is glass cockpits for fighter planes, and autopilot systems, the complete avionics suite. You're also seeing full the avionics suite delivered for the Mk2, the the Saras Mk2 aircraft. The last piece is the defense engineering piece. In that, there is EMP, which is electromagnetic pulse protection. This obviously protects key infrastructure from getting damaged by electronic waves. You have certain chambers which are test rooms for absorbing electronic waves as well, is something that they make these chambers. You're also seeing in the defense engineering space, there's heavy engineering, flow form tubes, structures, titanium components, active array of radar and cooling assemblies that they manufacture, mechanical racks, cabinets, tripods, they do the whole host. Anti-drone systems, this is a new segment for Paras as well. This is under the aerospace segment, of course. Drones, the drones themselves are also manufactured by Paras. Agri drones, for example, is manufactured by Paras. But the anti-drone system is what Paras is better known for, and orders have been placed for that. And then they have certain JVs. JVs with a Singapore entity called Opel Technologies PTE, where they have a JV with them. There's Quantico Technologies on quantum, and that technology, quantum technology, they have a JV with Quantico as well. They also have a JV with Controp Precision Technologies, which is an Israeli company. 30% is owned by Paras, 70% by Controp. So that's a minority stake there, but nonetheless, they have that. There's Micron Vision as well, which is the Rafael Group, by the way. Drone cameras is what they manufacture for that. There's a strategic tie-up with Green Optics from South Korea, which is an optics collaboration. In terms of customers, just to kind of close this, you've got government and PSU in the customer pack, and some very marquee clients. DRDO, they have tie-ups with DRDO as well. They do manufacturing with DRDO on certain programs. ISRO is the other one. There's BEL, where they have supply products. BDL, they supply products. The BrahMos missile is also part of the entire build-out. Is Paras Defense is a beneficiary of that. Hindustan Shipyard, Mazagon Dock, and the like. Then on the private side, you have marquee clients, L&T, Tata, Godrej, Premier Explosives, and the like. On the global side, you have Rafael Advanced Systems, Israeli Aerospace Industries, Elbit, Controp, Taiyang Optics, and Chaban Group, all of which are marquee clients within that defense space globally. So they've got a large customer base. And a lot of times, once a customer gets onboarded to a platform, it's very difficult for the customer to get out of the platform. That's really the understanding. And sometimes it takes decades to migrate from one platform to another. It's tough to do these things. And therefore, Paras Defense is differentiated in that sense. The opportunity is large. But let's look at the numbers now. Let's try and focus in on the financials. Let's see what story they're saying. You'll see the top line is at 477 crore. This trades at 20 times sales. Okay, so just kind of highlighting that. But the growth has been strong. 29% growth on a YOY basis, last 3-year CAGR. That's the numbers. Look at EBITDA. Very healthy EBITDA. They operate at a decent margin. 27% growth on the EBITDA count is what we've seen. Last 3-year CAGR. These are the last 5 years in front of you. Let's look at profit. 35% growth CAGR. Again, very, very strong. And you've got 90 crore of profit currently sitting in FY26. Consistently profitable. No concerns from that perspective. Now let's look at margins. And margins, what you'll notice is they've been very resilient. I mean, FY24, they dipped towards 21, but otherwise, they've been 25 to 28% in terms of that band. So margins are strong. It's a healthy margin business. Despite pivoting from one business to another as well, margins have sustained. That's the other thing you want to kind of take note of. In terms of order book, they sit on 1,000 crore order book right now. So it trades at around 2 times book to bill is what this one currently sits at. And it's roughly in around that same region. What I want to really understand is what's the larger opportunity here. Next 3 to 4 years, you've got a bidding pipeline of almost 12 to 15,000 crore on existing products. Can they add to that in terms of the new products that are coming on and the new platforms that they're creating? And how much is that, and what is the kind of opportunity size there is what I'd want to understand. Now, For all of this to play out, you need a robust balance sheet. Let's pull up the balance sheet and let's try and analyze it. 725 crore in terms of the book value. So this one trades at, I believe, 15 times book to bill. So, 15 times market cap to book. And that is extremely large, right? So 15 times book is surely something that catches the eye. When you're looking at the borrowing number, just 27 crore in terms of borrowing, so no concerns from a borrowing perspective. And they sit on a cash bank balance of 120 crore. So no concerns from a borrowing or a cash flow, from a borrowing and a cash bank perspective on the balance sheet. Cash flow, though, is still a concern. When you're supplying such large orders to large companies sitting across the world, there is a drag with regard to cash flow that plays out, and that's exactly what you're seeing on your screen. How do they unwind this and how do they manage this is really the question. Do they therefore raise equity? Maybe that's one way to do it. Do they fund it through some amount of debt? Working capital, essentially, receivables keep inching upwards as they continue to unwind that order book that they have. So that's something that we will keep a close eye on. Growth is extremely strong, but cash flow has to thereafter convert, which is not happening. As growth starts to stabilize, maybe at some point of time in the future, you might see cash flow unwind a little better. But currently, the kind of growth that they're seeing, cash flow is not playing out in the same fashion. Look at return ratios. Return ratios have been in the 12 to 15% range, but started to clip over the 15% number now. We understand, obviously, that when a company is going through that growth phase, sometimes ROCs can compress, but we're starting to see ROCs inch up last 2 years. Positive, at least 15+% on the ROC number. That's something that we have liked. When you're looking at shareholding, 53% owned by the promoters, right? Promoters have always held a decent share. You're seeing 8% now on the FI participation. DI is holding 3% and the public holding the balance. Look at analyst recommendations though. 2 buy calls, no holds, 1 sell. And the return potential is a 35% downside from here. So clearly the analyst community thinking that this is slightly more on the expensive side. Just 3 analysts, but nonetheless, and 2 buy calls nonetheless. Really, that's the cherry on the cake. Valuations, 78 times is what this one trades at. 1 year forward PE, right? This is 1 year forward in front of you. The 2-year average has been 58 times. So you have seen the stock come off as well, and we saw that in the initial chart that we showed. And 41 to 96 is the range in which this trades at. But let me not take up more time on this. We're neutral with regard to the valuations. Let me bring on board Amit Mahajan, Director, Paras Defense and Space Tech, joining us. Amit, always good chatting with you. Thank you so much for coming in. Let me first start off with the new platforms that you're building up, right? The opportunity on existing platforms was, I believe, 10 to 12,000 crore next 3 to 4 years, if I've done that math right. Correct me if I'm wrong. On the new platforms, what's the size of the opportunity for you?
Firstly, I need to give a couple of minutes to thank you. Firstly, thank you for having me on this show. This is the first. Secondly, I've been seeing the last 5 minutes and the way you have covered the company. I think kudos to you. I was thinking, what am I going to speak now on this show? Because you've covered the company with so much detail and so much of pros and cons to a great level of accuracy. So thank you and kudos to you.
Thank you, Amit.
I also want to give you a disclaimer that we are in a silent period. So there will be some level of ambiguity. I will keep it in my absolute values. But now talking about the various platforms that we are catering to. Now, if you see the air defense as a mechanism, we are moving towards adding our value into the air defense infrastructure of the country. And we're seeing that you covered almost all the products that we're doing. This somewhere from an EOIR system to anti-drone or a drone detection and jamming system or an aerial threat detection jamming system to delivering a command control, so C4I kind of a system. And then subsequently now we are adding laser systems in our repertoire. So all of this, if you combine, we are adding more and more value and more systems to the air defense mechanisms. This platform on per se will be various platforms. There will be static systems, there will be mobile systems, there will be aerial systems, there will also be certain space systems. So we are making sure that we are relevant to almost all the platforms, because we are one level below the platforms. We are trying to become tier 1.5, tier 1, where we supply systems and more value added technologies for various platforms.
Amit, right. So that gives us clarity, especially on the anti-drone front. But give us a sense, what is the opportunity size for this like? So you won recently an order of around 46 odd crore, but that looks like a very shallow way to evaluate the kind of opportunity there is, right? So give us a sense of the size of the opportunity.
So the size of the opportunity, like you rightly said, is in thousands of crores. Now, it all depends on which program mushrooms where, and it's across various platforms. So I'm talking about the optical components opportunity is increasing and swelling, which used to be our tier 2 or tier 3 kind of offerings. There we see not only in domestic market, but we are also seeing exports going up in this arena. Now, looking at the optical system side, we are looking at this opportunity swelling again, not just for the land platforms, but also for UAVs and drone platforms. So there is good amount of opportunity here as well. Now, looking at the defense electronics per se, we are looking at almost all the programs that we have been serving for the last 30 odd years, all mushrooming into a large scale production. So this will, by its own self weight, give a good amount of growth trajectory. We are looking at electromagnetic pulse. The more and more the government is aware of what this threat is, and the world is getting ready for this, we are the only company in the country providing these kind of solutions. So we obviously see a great potential in this arena. And what we have added now is something which is related to laser, which is a natural forward integration for an optics company like us, that we make laser system not just for air defense applications, but also for anti-drone applications. Along with that, we've also tied up with, like you rightly said, tied up with the technology companies across the world to make sure that we are bringing in high-tech, already proven systems and technologies for the country, such that we can explore more made in India and Atmanirbhar opportunities that come out of cutting-edge technologies. We have also tied up for interceptor drone. This is the current hot cake when it comes to providing counter UAS technologies. Now, all of this put together, if I put a number, say a few thousands of crores, I will be only talking conservative about it. So the opportunity size is huge. It mushrooms at very many levels. Some opportunities are near term, some opportunities are mid term, and we are also working on certain long term opportunities which will pave the way for a very glorious future for the country.
No, Amit, I completely buy your point. It's very difficult to quantify. And I know that near term, medium term, long term, it's super tough. If you were to put a number to it from a 3-year perspective, and I'm sorry I'm pushing you on this simply because your investor would want to know what the opportunity size is on the very conservative near-term perspective, only from an India perspective. The export opportunity could well be very large and very superior to the India opportunity as well. But just the lowest hanging fruit, if there's a conservative number you can drop to your investor, what would that number be?
If you force me to talk about the next couple of years, I can tell you whatever growth trajectory you've been seeing us delivering for the last 2 years is extremely conservative moving forward. So I would want to say that if there are opportunities that are in front of us and all of them fructify, I am seeing my guidance levels are very conservative. We will grow at a much faster pace. Not that we are, we are going to be fumbling, because we are very ready. Financially, we are ready. Tech-wise, we are ready. Our human resources today are at an all-time high, and you see we are ready from our team perspective also. So the guidance that we have been giving is very conservative, is all that I can tell you.
All right. Amit, I'm going to have to take a mandatory break, a short one. I'm going to come back to you on the other side because order book is not the only important thing, right? The other piece is also execution. And while Amit spoke about how large the opportunity size is, how quickly can the manufacturing system and manufacturing part of the business ramp itself up is really the question. And we'll post that to him on the other side. Stay with us. We're in conversation with Amit Mahajan. I won't delay this further. I'll go straight to him. Amit, on Controp and on quantum tech, on these two in particular, how large is the opportunity size for you domestically? And of course, just simple question, export opportunity also available, I would presume.
So these are two actually very diverse technologies. So if you look at Controp,
yes,
Controp it's a short form of control of optics. So you can imagine they are one of the best companies in the world who can create a stabilized optical platform, which is not only for day but night with a laser rangefinder and laser designator and a host of technologies all bundled into one, making sure that you can track, you can sight and track a target using optics and optical system. So this can go on platforms such as armored vehicle, border defense. It can be used for UAVs. It can be used for helicopters and avionics systems. So this is one technology. Now, when I'm saying it is used for very many platforms, the opportunity size on the land side is huge because all the platforms in the Indian Armed Forces, which are land-based, are going through a great overhaul. So these are becoming more now ready for an aerial threat, which is the reality of war's situation. And when that is happening, almost all the old systems will go for a refurbishment, retrofitment, and the control systems become more and more relevant for these kind of upgradations. So there is a huge opportunity, almost $1 billion revenue opportunity for only control land systems. This is where I'm trying to tell you. This is only land system gives you $1 billion opportunity in domestic market. I'm talking about. I'm not even counting the opportunities on aerial platforms. I'm not counting the opportunities for the UAVs and drone platforms. All of it, I bundle it together, it's going to be at least a couple of billions or more. Now, this when I'm talking about control, this is where we are. Quantum is a very, very different ballgame. We are currently silently investing and also collaborating with academia, with research foundations to make sure that we are creating the ground for it. The investment into tech has already started, and when quantum communication is going to be springing up as the technology, which we foresee about 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 years from now, that time you will see almost all strategic communications becoming quantum ready, and that is huge. Quantum will become the next mode of communication, and that time when you see two optical systems talking to each other and transmitting data, that time you will realize that the opportunity, even if I say billions of dollars, it will look very, very conservative. So that is the kind of technology potential it has. Just that maybe it's too early right now. It is developing, and in the next 3 to 4 years, you will see that mushrooming into a real tech. But we are investing into it.
Understood. Very impressive, Amit. Just one quick follow-up. On Controp, are you the only manufacturer in India?
So Controp has partnered with us and we formed a JV for this. Not only their partners, but we're their manufacturing partners. So it's not about just doing business in India. We also tomorrow envisage that the Control products which we manufacture here in India not only are used by domestic customers and for domestic consumption, but we are also looking at we can supply a made in India product across the world. It gives Control the advantage of a cost-effective manufacturing and also increases their bandwidth into manufacturing and supplying to the world. So this is where we are looking at this particular partnership as not just a one-time event or only for domestic market, but a global partnership, yes, we are exclusive and we are partners.
And you exclusively sell in India, right? Is that the right way to think of it? You're the only seller of this product in India.
Yes, you're right.
Perfect. Okay, and on border defense systems, it's work in progress, if I'm not wrong. And are there conversations uh, with the government on implementation of this as and when it comes on stream as a platform?
Yes, I'd like to give you a little more details because the way you have covered it, if I just talk superficially, I'll not do justice to your work on our company. So border defense
Thank you.
system, about 4 to 5 years back when it started with a electro-optic tracking system, and then subsequently engaging a weapon to make sure that we are neutralizing land-based targets. And when this was happening, the technology took a shift, and also we started looking at aerial threats. But what now has happened is it's not just about tracking. It's not just about counter using a weaponized system. It also needs certain detection capabilities, say a drone detection using acoustic sensors, drone detection using other means, say passive radars or active radars. We are now upgrading a system which already was delivered by us, and the tech is getting evolved to make sure that we are looking at counter UAS being built into a border defense system. Now, this is in the last stages of the development and deliveries. So we are looking at this to be mushrooming out into a comprehensive anti-drone system, which not only has an electro-optic tracking, it also has various sensors to detect an aerial and land-based targets, but at the same time neutralize it not just by the weapon, but also laser and electromagnetics.
Very cool, Amit. I'm unfortunately now having to move to numbers because I'm running out of time, Amit. Cash flow, does that start to unwind? And if so, when? Is that at all a concern? Are these receivables good largely? Any concerns at all from a cash flow standpoint?
So firstly, I want to give you one statement. The cash flow is not a concern. We've been in this industry for over 4 decades, and we understand the cash flow mechanisms, the challenges that this industry poses. But if I have to look at it from the other side, the light is at the end of the tunnel, and which we can see now. The ease of doing business in this industry is improving over the last 5 years. Now, coupling with that, we have moved up the value chain. So from tier 3 to tier 2, tier 2 to tier 1.5, and tier 1 at some level, without having any business conflict with our existing customers, means that we are improving our value. We are doing more value-added products. And at the same time, the cash flow cycles from the customer side are improving. So we started getting advances, we started getting milestone payments. All of this will have a positive impact. Yes, it won't happen overnight, but if you see from last year to today, this year to next year, there will be a gradual but sure improvement in cash flow cycles. We don't see cash flow to be any hindrance to the growth that we are projecting.
Understood. And just with regard to how one looks at the P&L, therefore now, there's no doubt with regard to the order opportunity, right? It's about execution. You've guided. The last guidance that I checked, 25% growth. Are you being conservative just given the kind of size of the opportunity that you have? And can you execute at a much faster rate than that if at all the opportunity presents itself? And margins, 25% across, is that something one can expect?
Firstly, yes, the margin profile is extremely conservative. Also, when I'm saying I'm doing more value-added products, so my dependency on my machineries is limited, and I'm integrating more and more systems and subsystems myself. And I'm engaging not just my infrastructure, but also my supply chain, which is built over 40 years. So all of this, when I put together, my bandwidth has no limitations per se. At the same time, I don't need to have huge capex when I look at the opportunities. So for me, my capex dependency is lowering as I progress, and my bandwidth is being shared not just by my in-house manufacturing, but also by my supply chain partners. So moving forward, I don't see any challenges towards any of this happening.
Understood. Amit, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I should do one with you in person, in fact, now. We're about time, we're due. And it makes me immensely proud that, we're here in India and we're making all of these now in India. So kudos to you on that.
Thank you so much. It's been our endeavor that a strategic tech like defense and space, we have to be self-reliant, and we are one of the biggest enablers for something like this. So kudos to you for bringing this up and covering us so well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amit. And viewers, that's all the time we have. In terms of forward guidance, I'll quickly cover it. 12,000 crore medium-term opportunity, 2 times book to bill at this point of time, will continue going forward as well. That's really the element. And 25% growth at 25% margin, that's really the aspiration. Conservative is what Amit has kind of signaled to us. Thank you so much for tuning in.